2020 to order with the declaration of a quorum. All members present, including Doug Smith on the phone. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you, Doug. All members present. This is a little bit of a unique meeting in that we're trying to do this Facebook Live as well as audio dial-in, phone-in. So it's a little bit unique from that standpoint for the public. Trying to follow the governor's social distancing protocols and still allow our government to function here locally by allowing us to still have our meetings. If you're on and you're watching Facebook Live and you'd like to participate by phone, there's a phone number you can call into. It's 1-206-462-5569. Use the code 8262774726. Daniel, you think I need to repeat that?
Maybe one more time.
Okay. If you're dialing in, it's 1-206-462-5569. Use code 8262774726. So we will have a citizens input opportunity both in person and online here in a second. But we're going to start with the flag salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you for your patience with us, and thank you for participating in this process if you're watching us online or on the phone. We now have the first opportunity in our meeting for citizen input. So if there are people that would like to speak, either in person or on the phone, to items that are not on our agenda, we'll have opportunity for agenda items later in the meeting. But if you would like to talk to the council about non-agenda items, we're going to have you stand somewhere, come up front on the microphone. Is there nobody back there? Nobody. Okay. And so if there's anybody on the phone, please dial *7 on your phone and let us know. Okay, so I have not heard that there's anyone on the phone that would like to give public comment. And there's nobody here in person that would like to give public comment. Okay, we're going to move on to our consent agenda item.
There is one that just did. It's phone number ending in 1374. Do you want to speak?
This is Nate Rivera. I'm following along with the live stream and just want to let you know the live stream is about 30 seconds behind the audio on the phone.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you. So it is working. That's a good sign. Technology is working. Good job, guys. Are there others on the phone that would like to speak? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to consent agenda. We have consent agenda items A through G. Are there any of those that the council would like to pull? No. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve consent agenda items A through G?
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Councilor Primer, seconded by Councilor Davis, that we approve consent agenda items as presented, A through G. Any public comment? So, do I need to give 30 seconds for an answer? Probably.
How many people are on the line?
We have consent agenda items A through G. Are there any of those that the council would like to pull?
That's just us.
Might mute it.
So the people that are calling you can hear without the mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't hear anybody that wanted to comment on the consent agenda items, so we're going to move on and do roll call. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Motion passes unanimously, 8-0. No items removed from consent agenda items, so we're gonna move on to public hearings. The South Hermiston LID number 322 continued from 1/13/2020. At the August 12, 2019 City Council meeting, this hearing was opened and continued to August 28, 2019. At the October meeting, the hearing was then again continued to January 13, 2020. At the January meeting, the hearing was again continued to March 23rd, 2020. City staff, gonna give us an update, is that Mark?
Yeah, so basically we're still in a holding pattern with the Federal Economic Development Administration. They're continuing to review our application. Right now, all that they're really working on is we have Anderson Perry and Associates doing our cultural environmental analysis right now. So takes a long time to work with federal government. So we're asking to, again, renew this LID process for another 90 days, but I will caution that we may be back most likely to ask for another extension just because that's how the process has to go.
Any questions from council on that? No. Can I get a motion to continue the hearing to 7 p.m. on June 8th, 2020 at Hermiston City Hall or other location as we find ourselves in for that meeting? Second. Then moved by Councilor Gutierrez, second by Councilor Harden, that we approve the continuation of the hearing to June 8th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Any public comment on that? If you're on the phone and you'd like to comment, please dial number 7, *7. Okay. Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Motion passes unanimously, 8-0. (7.153) junkyards, ordinance 2300 and 2301. Mr. Smith?
Yes, we're requesting, this had a specific date set for the hearing, and as it came out of the planning commission, we're gonna request that we delay that hearing again to that June date, because it's not a necessary item, we don't have to do it right now, and there's some intricacies in the public hearing law that we don't really want to test out with a video feed and those kind of things. We just don't know what that would look like, so we want to wait. We have no need except for it was slated to be on this agenda, so we just would like a motion to extend to the June 8th.
July 27th.
Oh, we got July? Okay, all right.
So sounds to me like there's no urgency to move on any of this zoning amendment at this point, and to protect ourselves from any land use violations
Right.
or imperfections in the process. We'd rather do that in a more formalized setting where everybody has the opportunity to participate, and hopefully by then we won't be on video and audio.
Right. That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions by the council? Okay. Can I get a motion to reschedule the hearing to 7 p.m. on July 27, 2020 at the Hermiston City Hall or other locations be announced? So moved. And moved by Mr. Primer, Councilor Primer, and seconded by Councilor Barone to reschedule the hearing to 7 p.m. July 27, 2020. Any public comment on that? If you're on the line and you'd like to make a public comment, please do *7. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
The motion passes unanimously, 8-0. Resolution number 2144, capital expenditure reimbursement.
So this is a resolution that would be related to the possibility of selling bonds related to the City Hall project. What it allows for is that we could be reimbursed from the bonds for expenses that we incur prior to that with this resolution. This doesn't say we're going to issue bonds, but it just would allow us, you know, let's say in June we decided we're gonna go forward and we issue the bonds, it would allow us to get reimbursement for the architecture and engineering fees that we might be incurring right now. So this is just a way that if we want to include those in the bond, it gives us that option, doesn't require us to. The bond council that the city's used for many years recommended that we pass this resolution, even under the circumstances where we might not issue the bonds and not do the project, but just as a safety measure.
Any questions from the council? Yes.
And you can't use the bond money or get reimbursed for something other than what that bond is for?
Right, if you notice, the resolution has some specific language about the city hall project and the basement of the library renovation. It's only that project.
Okay.
Yes.
Good
Just wanted to
question.
make that clear.
Yes.
No, I think it's purposeful and it's intent. I agree with that, to make sure that these resources are only gonna be used for the intended purpose of building city hall or
Architecture there.
architectural or amendments to the, or changes to library.
Correct.
Any other questions from the council? Can I get a motion to approve resolution 2144 laid upon record?
So moved.
Second. All right. It's been moved by Councilor Meyer, seconded by Councilor Kerwin, that we approve resolution number 2144 and lay it upon the record. Any public comment on that? Please hit *7. Okay. Roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion?
Yeah.
Yes, motion passes unanimously, 8-0. Thank you, Doug. February 2020 financial report. Mr. K.
Okay.
This is the first. I've got a slideshow with no slides. But because of the brevity of the meeting, I would direct you, as you look at your copy of the financial report on page 2, you will see the February information for the Urban Renewal Agency. They're in great shape. I will always talk about what the Urban Renewal Agency is doing. If I refer you to page 3 of the financial report, we talk about general fund resources. We are, for the last 3 months, a little short of what we projected for collections in property tax revenue generally, and some other revenues are a little off. You will see in November, we basically collected almost $700,000 more in revenue than we had planned on. I believe this streak right now where we are not collecting what's been projected with property taxes and revenues that are being recognized there, not in later months. We're still very good position going into this period in the year. Expenditures, we're doing very well. We're 3% under. This past month, we did have a couple of hiccups where we were $65,000 above what we had projected, but we're still in good shape for the year on page 4. I direct you to page 6 that shows the fund balance general fund for the month ending February 29th. You will see we ended the month at $5,248,000 in the fund. We're projecting that in March we will end up at $4,005,000, which will leave us 2.8 times the minimum reserve. We actually only missed this month by $146,000. I'm doing a little better projecting where we're going to be each month, hopefully even better projecting to the end of the year. Finally, on the capital projects report on page 9, I've highlighted in red the master plan is still under review by the FAA. No new news there. East Theater Lane, if you've been out there, you'll see they've been doing some work. Northeast Water Tank is pretty much, it's up and running. They're still doing some final work on the lift station at Elora Heights, and it's working well. And then well number 6, tank interior painting and cathodic ray protection is in progress. It was decided to put this painting and cathodic ray. Why do I want to say cathodic ray? I'm sorry.
Star Trek turn.
Yeah.
It must be. Set the phaser on stun. In any event, it was decided to do the painting and the cathodic protection at the same time rather than having to drain the tank and fill it twice. So we're saving a little money there. Other than that, I'd entertain any questions the council has about what we're doing as of February.
Mark, status on the road?
On East Peter, they should be paving here soon. They have their, technically the substantial completion on the contract for the overall water tank project itself, which is what we tacked the paving contract onto, is April 1st. So, I don't hold me to that, they're gonna be paving by April 1st, but that's when the substantial completion is supposed to be. They've asked for them and granted an extension through April 30th for the overall project because we added the paving project on there, but it's getting in.
Are there penalties if they don't meet the timeline?
There are, but again, we've added a substantial amount of an additional project on the overall contract, so we're trying to be a good partner with them.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, financial report.
Yeah, I saw, so Mark, I saw that the LGIP rate dropped to 2.0. Are we going to jump on that? Is there anything that we're doing?
Well, if I could, I would. We have some certain covenants in our investment policy that will not allow me to move everything into LGIP. We have our corporate bonds are performing really well. I've been to mention to the council at the end of March, we're going to see a big hammering in our government portfolio because treasuries and securities that issued by the government are taking a beating. We've had a bunch called. It will look different there. I'm looking at every opportunity we can to put the money where it does us the best benefit. But I anticipate the LGIP rate is going to nosedive pretty quick.
Thank you. And I point that out because I believe when we saw it months ago, it was at 2.85.
Yeah, it was, but at 275, I think is the highest it's been. And they steadily dropped, and they're still the highest in the 4-state region. But I don't believe they can maintain that anywhere close to where they're at now. I'm surprised they haven't dropped it yet.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve financial report? Second. Sorry, who moved? John? Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Kerwin and seconded by Councilor Barone that we approve the financial report as presented. Any public comment? You hit *7.
Yes, there is. Okay, for phone number ending in 6397.
Go ahead.
Hello, this
Yes.
is Jackie Linton.
Yes,
I'm
Jackie.
in West Avenue, Hermiston. I just have a question. I would like to know if there's a national moratorium on mortgages. Will that affect our budget and our upcoming meetings about remodeling the library and also possibly building another city hall?
Thank you, Jackie. Mr. Smith?
There would, the actions taken on mortgages would have no impact on whether we could borrow money through a bond to pay for a city hall.
Was that the only part of the question?
Did I miss?
I thought she was talking about mortgaging.
Remodeling the library.
Oh, and the
Right,
library,
yeah, we would be considering that one project, so, yeah, there would be no change in the ability to borrow money for the city.
It work in our favor where rates are right now for issuance. You just don't want to invest in municipal bonds right now, but to issue, we're in a very favorable position from a rate perspective.
Okay, thank you.
If we can find a buyer.
Pardon me?
If we can find a buyer.
At the point in time we're talking about issuing, I think we'll have buyers. We've pushed it purposely out there that I think we'll have buyers.
Any other public comment? Okay. Any other council comments? Okay, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Stage left.
Is that your dog, Doug?
Yeah.
I think you was saying yes on the roll call, so motion passes unanimously 8-0. Discussion and possible action related to COVID-19 response, Mr. Smith.
So first, I guess I'd like to entertain any questions about what our current policy is for operations. I feel like what we did starting today really matches what the governor put out in her guidelines in the executive order she issued today, so we didn't look at making any changes at this point. And the item that I'd like to have the council consider as a change would be, by the charter, we are only required to meet once a month, and I'd like to request that we schedule just to meet in the second meeting of each month, so the fourth Monday. There is some caveats I'll want to put in that. One is unless there's some changes made, we're going to need to have a budget meeting in May. There's some talk about asking the state to make some changes for the budget committee where maybe it's just the council and not the public members. Some other things that LOC has been working on. I don't know if that's going to get consideration or not. And then the other piece is in June, we would need to have it on the first meeting. If we're going to stay at one a month, we need to have it on the first meeting, just because that's how Mark has built the calendar to adopt the budget, is to be at that meeting. And so there's all kinds of noticing requirements and getting it published and all that. So we would need to meet it. We would need to do that on the first meeting in June, if possible. So
Can we just go month by month?
we could.
I mean, we could say.
What I would request, maybe it'd be 2 months, but maybe April and May. But we could go just once a month and then go to the next month.
So my suggestion would be to, for 2 months and then go from that point on, because, things, it's highly likely that things will change sometime in the next couple of months.
I think you need to look at too, if something did come up and we had to have a meeting, you can always call it
It could be a special meeting.
a special session.
Anybody else have an issue with that?
No, I don't agree with that.
And so your thought was we would go the 27th of April.
Correct.
And then the 25th, which is Memorial Day.
Well, we would be the Tuesday
To the
following
26th.
the 26th.
Okay, through the 26th. So that would be our next two meetings, and skip the 11th of May and the 13th of April.
Correct.
Okay. And then there would be some budget meetings kind of partially.
Yeah, I forget the date. Mark, do you have the date?
I don't have the date with me,
It's,
sir.
it's sort of mid-May.
Give us a calendar.
Yeah, we can do that. But
Anybody else have any concerns about that? Okay.
Memory serves me right, it's May 21st.
okay.
Is the date that comes to mind.
State was good with us just doing it, well, only by
It's,
charter.
it's our charter that we're going with. We don't need any approval from the state at this point.
As far as getting city business done, there aren't any problems or legalities with moving forward with any of the stuff we already currently have on our calendar and agenda.
Right.
Okay.
And actually, we've also, at this point, no city committees are gonna be meeting except the planning commission, because there's some deadlines, but they actually have nothing for their April agenda, so they're planning to cancel the April planning commission. So we're trying to minimize all the meetings, and this is really the only one that kind of we need to have sometimes, so.
I do have did you say that something was implemented today other than what was already going on?
Well, we just put in place, we sent out the press release on Friday, but just basically requiring appointments for anybody to come into City Hall. We also set up a makeshift payment window where we can continue to take payments but have some distance between customer and our staff. And so those were the changes that we implemented, and we did that at City Hall, temporary City Hall, old City Hall, and at the Parks and Rec and the police station. We did that as well, so they can call, and even if they're standing, we talked about this, most people are gonna have a cell phone, they're gonna stand there and call the number. We can accommodate them, and that gives us a chance to, deal with it without overloading, having too many people in the building, those kinds of things. So.
Do we have a box where we can drop the payment?
Yeah, they can still use the drop box at the old City Hall, location, and we have been, and people have been using it, so yes. And then we're trying to encourage anybody to use, electronic payments. You know, you can still mail us your payment, all those kinds of other ways to pay their, utility bills.
It's a great time, or an unfortunate time, but a great time to start learning how to use the electronic billing services and connect yourselves. All the city services can be done electronically.
That's correct.
Paid that way.
And by phone.
Right, yeah, even if they just wanna call, we can take a credit card over the phone as well, so.
Playgrounds?
Yes, I talked with Mr. Fetter today, and what we're gonna do is take some yellow caution tape, put it around, we're gonna put up some signs at basketball courts and at the playgrounds, and try our best to let people know not to use them, and then the enforcement will come as we can. You know, we're not gonna send the police department specifically out to look for that, but.
And that was part of my next question. The governor had cited some potential ordinance violations. I can't remember what the code was, but potential misdemeanor charges for violation of her orders.
Correct.
Who's enforcing that? Is that stated?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
any police, you know, any law enforcement official could enforce it.
Okay. So it could be local sheriff's office or the state. Okay.
Correct.
I'm assuming that the chief of police hasn't suggested that he goes out and looks for these types of violations, or?
Correct.
Okay.
We're encouraging our officers to be reasonable and try to educate on the front end. We've received numerous calls today, including kids playing on the playground. That was before the order came out, but ultimately the disaster, the declaration gives the governor complete control of all police departments in the state of Oregon, so we're following her direction.
You know, I will have to say I've been on 3 conference calls with the governor where she was actually in attendance and actually spoke. And she was very thoughtful. She was very engaged. She asked great questions. She wanted to know how we were doing. She wanted to know what our concerns were, areas of issues that we were having, specifically as it related to public health or public safety, or our concerns about our local businesses and our communities. And so she's been very engaged in the process. And so I have applauded her for that leadership and at least reaching out to us and listening to us. And so I think it's our responsibility to also support her in that. And so when you are speaking with your fellow constituents, making sure that you're reaffirming that this is important. For now, this is the best information we have about reducing the spread of the disease and keeping our hospitals with the ability to manage outbreaks. And so we stand behind her and support her in that process. Anything else you wanted to say on that?
No, I just wanted to, you know, get any feedback or anything from the council. You know, we've been trying to work with any employees that you know that are showing any symptoms or, you know, feeling sick in any way. They're able to go home. All those kinds of things as well. So, you know, we're just trying to do the best that we can to
I think one thing, if I may, people need to consider is, if you know people where you are, one of the people that are in the at-risk category, like we have several elderly neighbors, so we didn't go in their house, but we knocked on doors outside, talked to them, gave them a note with our information on it, so if they need something, they can call us, we'll go get it for them. But I would say we are where we are because people don't take action. So if you went to the grocery store yesterday in Hermiston at noon, it was like any other day in there. There was all kinds of people with their whole entire families and kids, people with grandparents, and they're just walking around like this is no big deal. But what will make it a big deal is, you look at any room or any demographic in a room, if 20% of that people, or the people in that room are hospitalized, we don't want to wind up like Italy, where they're telling people that are over 80, don't bother coming in, you can die at home. Because that's what we're facing here. So if people don't think it's in the community, I know 2 people who have it in Portland. And they're in their 40s, and they said, go home. Unless you think you're dying, come back. So that's what we're facing. So it's serious. And I don't think, not just in Hermiston, I think everywhere. Look at what happened over the weekend. I'm from a little town called Conlon. It was like deer season there. People flooding into the forest, stopping in that little town and emptied the little town of all their groceries and stuff that they need. That's why we are where we are. When have we ever been asked to save the world by staying home? I mean, that's really what we're looking at. And
Netflix.
Exactly. Look at what you have. Look at what you have at your disposal. We streamed a movie on Sunday that was in the movie theaters. You can do whatever you want now. Yeah, go to the grocery store. If you have to go once a day, that's fine. But we fight this struggle every day because we have 2 teenagers at home that want to be out, running around with us. And it's gonna be, my wife may not have any sense about her by the end of these 2 weeks because I still have to go to work and she's at home all day with those 2. But we all have to make sacrifices. So, I think us as a council, we should be leading by example, moving forward. If we don't need to be at meetings, we shouldn't be. If we don't need to have meetings, we shouldn't. That's my 2 cents for it.
Yeah, I like the terminology physical distancing rather than social distancing. I think we probably need each other more now than we ever have. And, use your social networks, use your phone call, use your FaceTime, use your ability to communicate that we never had 20 or 30 years ago. Still take advantage of the opportunities and technology to stay connected because we still need to check in on our neighbors and our friends and our families and make sure that they're okay. But do it from an appropriate distance. Try to keep to your family. Try to not spread. None of us knows. We could all be walking around as carriers right now and just not know it. And so we just don't know when that's going to happen. And so for those of us that are at greatest risk, we're endangering them. And so the whole process is to hopefully keep the infection down to a low enough rate that it doesn't overwhelm our hospitals. So I agree with John. This is the appropriate course of action for now. And we need to support the governor in her request in that. Yes, sir.
Status of the trail, that's a question to come up.
Yeah, according to the executive order, the open spaces of the park, as long as you can maintain a good physical distance, those are still open and available. So if you're out on the trail, just when you pass somebody, make sure you move to the side or whatever at this point.
I got a question, and I think my question is gonna be for Jason. If people continue getting paranoid, and they've been going paranoid from toilet paper, what happens if they start getting paranoid with, regarding food? And rights will start reckoning, and, taking it to the stores. And we prepare to control that.
So I had a meeting last week with the sheriff from Morrow County, the sheriff from Umatilla County, and the chief of police of Umatilla, and we had those discussions, and so we're talking about worst case scenario. Are we prepared? Probably not. To be very direct. However, we've got a good force. We've got good partnerships with other agencies, and so I think this will be something we can definitely work through as a team.
I think to Manuel's point, again, coming back to looking out, the greatest part about living in Hermiston is we care about each other. And we look out for each other. And so if you have a little extra and somebody needs a little extra, give them some. Yeah, there's gonna be more in the stores. They're not having any issues with the supply chain. Make sure that, you're looking out for your neighbors and friends and family. Making sure you're sharing a little extra don't go and hoard all the toilet paper, don't go and hoard all the canned goods and the alcohol and the cleaning supplies, because you don't need a year's worth. Okay, you need a couple weeks worth. So if you've got a little extra, share it. That will keep that issue from coming back. Anything else?
No, that's it, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'd like a motion
You need a motion for?
for the, going to one meeting.
Oh, okay.
Make a motion to move the meetings once a month for the next.
Second. It's been moved by Councilor Kerwin, seconded by Councilor Kremer, that we move our city council meetings to once a month, as previously stated on those dates.
It'd be the fourth week of each month.
Okay, fourth week of each month.
Or the fourth Monday or the following.
Right.
Or the following day before one.
Right. Any public comment on that? Star 7? Okay, roll call.
Yes.
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 Doug?
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously, 8-0. Any committee reports? The only committee report I probably made has to do with, I know this is terrible, but the business of the city still got to function, and we still got to move forward, and there's stuff that we've been planning and working on for a long time, and one of those projects is Funland. And we're gonna need a great place for the community to rally around after all of this, and our kids to go play on, and our community to celebrate at. And Funland is gonna be that heart and soul location that we can do that at. And so we're continuing to move forward. We've had a great turnout, as you would expect, from our community, and close to significant number. I don't want to announce it publicly yet, but we have a significant number of people that have contributed towards our goal. We have a couple large targets that we're still working with, and those community partners understand the urgency and the need of the issue as well. And so we're hopeful that we're going to reach our target, and that we'll be able to build that playground the way the kids deserve to have the playground. So we'll continue to work and move forward on that. Any other comments? The EOTech Advisory Committee has postponed its meetings too, but we continue to kind of share some
There
stuff
might
on
be some
emails and
sharing of things via email.
yeah, we have some design issues we're kind of working on for up here, so hopefully we'll bring that back to the council sometime this summer. Mayor's report, I don't have anything else other than what we've already talked about. Do you have anything?
I don't have anything else.
Council? Anything else? Yes.
Yeah, just kind of add on to the discussion we're having. I feel like in these times it's also really important to support our local businesses that we have in this area. We have a lot of local businesses that are also struggling, having to cut back hours, maybe some even having to cut back employees. And so it's really important at this time. I know there are certain industries that are just going to take out now. Go support those local businesses that we have in our town because it's important. They also need support because we rely on them for a lot of things during when things are normally well. I think it's really also very important. In times of needs like this, we end up seeing where some of our weaknesses lie, but also where our strengths are. And so I think it's really important, to give thanks to those people that are always there to help us and support us, and we really don't realize it until things are kind of taken away and we have to take a step back. I can give a shout out to the teachers in our area, teachers all in the state of Oregon. They play a vital role to make sure that our kids are educated and that they have a good future here in the state of Oregon. And it's really hard for me now entering that realm. What pains me not only are kids that aren't at school, but there are some kids that school is the best place for them to be, quite honestly. Where going back home is actually much worse. And so, there's a lot of things that we have to look out for as a community. Thank the stores that are currently open. I've heard people thank their local shopkeeper, thank the person working at the deli. I also want people to remember to thank their farm workers, the farmers, but the people also picking the the fruits, the vegetables. You know, those people are equally as important too, and without them, we wouldn't have food on the table either. So, you know, just in these times, I know it's really easy saying, well, I'm a young person, I'm a millennial, this infection won't affect me, but it really will. I have a lot of people in my life that are very important to me. And I know that maybe it won't affect me as badly physically, but I know that there are people close to me in my life that can impact. So I want our citizens to really think about people in your lives that are important to you, and realize that maybe the infection won't, you know, hurt you personally, but maybe it will hurt someone very close to you. And so that's what is very important, where we have to stand together, stay at home if you need to stay at home. I know it's very hard, and it can be a little impatient, especially if you have kids. I understand. I have a lot of siblings as well. So, you know, try to stay at home if possible, because looking out for yourself is looking out for everybody in our community.
Good points, Roy. Those people that are on the front line, you know, our police department, you know,
That's what I was gonna go.
our guys out there keeping our prison safe, you know, our grocery store clerks, our health care workers, you know, people that are making sure that the truckers, the guys in the warehouses, making sure the trucks are getting filled and deliveries are being made to our production lines. You know, we still have a world to live in, and we still have a world to function in, and so those people that are having to put themselves out there every single day, we need them and appreciate them. And I agree with Roy. Keep your money in town. No better time than to spend your resources, you know, in an appropriate fashion by supporting your local businesses and helping out those people. They're the ones that support your Little League store, not whoever you're buying online from, or your Little League team, your soccer team, your high schools. Support them, especially now, because those little towns, those little businesses are struggling, and they're going to get hurt in this process. And we may even lose some of them, and we've worked really hard as a community to try and build those and recruit those, and we need to continue to support them as a community, even though they may have limited availability to provide their previous services that they presented. So do support, I echo that, do support your local community businesses. Anything else for the council?
I'm going to remind everybody, go to the Chamber of Commerce website, and they got the restaurant that
They did a great job.
and buy takeout.
Yeah, they did all the phone numbers on there, takeout, menus, they did a really good job. So, yeah, Hermiston Chamber of Commerce website has a listing of everybody that's participating in the takeout and the menus on there. Good call. And they've done, we've ordered, they've delivered, it's been awesome, actually. Not sure I'm gonna eat out as much.
All gonna come out of this a lot heavier, I'll tell you that.
No. I'm eating, finding myself around the refrigerator a lot more these days.
Leftovers.
All right, anything else from the council?
Oh, I was gonna say our grassroots organization, Raices, also has on Facebook, all the other businesses are also open. People with other businesses that are still remaining open. So I know that the chamber tried to make a full compiled list, but there's also more lists out there. So if there's any other people that are interested in more businesses, because obviously there are more businesses than the ones taxed, feel free to support all the businesses.
Mr. Smith, Councilor Smith, do you have anything?
No,
Okay,
no,
thank you.
at this time.
All right. Anything else? All right, we're adjourned. Be safe, be healthy.
Yes, each other.